my glass tonight. All right, very good. All right, I will call to order. This is April 26, 2022 meeting of Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Would all please rise for the pledge of allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. And I would ask you to keep the family and friends of now former Sheriff Clark in your thoughts and prayers this week. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Beth, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here we have quorum. I'll note that we are being live streamed, being broadcast through a YouTube channel for public consumption. We also are recording internally through that microphone for our purposes and compiling the minutes. The microphone doesn't broadcast, it just records. So if anyone comes up and doesn't hear their voice boom across the room, that's the reason why. But we do ask anyone having business before the board comes up and does speak into that so we get it. Just a little backup for our purposes. Row officer reports and comments. I'm looking out of the audience today and I'm not seeing any row officers or representative of row officers. Public comments. Anybody have any public comment they wish to make? It's always a good day. Fiscal and contractual. Repository properties, none. Advertising bid proposals, none. Receiving bid proposals, none. We do have two warrant registers, April 21 and April 22. I'll give my colleagues a minute to check those over and take a motion to accept and file the warrant register or not.
Well, I'd like to pose a question. On the first page of the document dated April 21, about halfway down, Department of Human Services, I'm assuming that's what that means, 55,719.
Yes.
And I'm maybe looking at Joe here. Is that the Human Services Center? Or is that the Commonwealth's Department of Human Services? Or do we know who that is?
But I would assume it's a Human Services Center, unless we had to return.
The Department of Human Services overpaid us for a grant.
The State Department.
State Department of Human Services.
Okay.
And so we had to reimburse them that cost. It's not a cost to us, it's just they gave us more money than, yeah, I think it was through ERAP.
Thank you.
Yep. Amazing, that $55,000 is a rounding error to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Just your pin money for that.
Oh. I will move to accept the warrant registers.
Second. Motion second, further discussion, hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Up next, we have approval of minutes from Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. And again, I'll give my colleagues a minute to check those over and take a motion to approve the minutes or make any changes as necessary to be.
So moved.
Second. Motion second, ready for discussion, hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. We have one written communication today from Young Galvanizing in Pulaski Township. I'll just read the first paragraph here. This is to notify you that we are on this date applying to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection Bureau of Air Quality Control for renewal of our air permit for a ventilation system used to remove zinc chloride and ammonium chloride fumes at our facility in Pulaski, Pennsylvania. Notice being provided in accordance with section 1905-A of the Pennsylvania Administrative Code as amended by Act 14 in 1984. And yeah, all I'll note as I always do, we don't have approval authority over these permits. When companies or other entities take certain activities or apply for certain permits under Commonwealth Code, they are required to report to the county commissioners on the activities that they are proposing to undertake. But again, we have no green light or red light on that. We just have to be notified. I will take, unless there's any comments on that, I'll take a motion to accept and file correspondence.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Staff reports. Do we have any member of staff that has anything to report above and beyond what's already on the agenda? Seeing none, commissioner reports and comments. Looks like I'm on deck first. I have a couple things. First and foremost, just a little update on broadband. I've been diving into it over the past couple of weeks. I see Joe.
Since we do
Joe
have
cracking the brain.
issues.
We do have some issues. But But on the bright side, I was at SPC yesterday. I was sitting next to Commissioner Belding from Greene County. And Greene County's been very successful. They got about 35,000 people in the entire county.
Mhm.
And they've raised over $30 million in funding for broadband deployment all across Greene County. And so in between, there's 3 meetings at SPC. There's the Regional Policy Committee, there is the Executive Board, and there is the Commission. I go to the latter half of the first, and I'm in the entirety of the first, the second and third meetings. And so in between those meetings, Mike and I were talking, and he actually was kind enough to forward me over all of Greene County's planning documents, RFPs, all of their, everything that they have on broadband deployment for Greene County. And so I'm looking forward to diving into those. The interesting thing about Greene County's model for broadband deployment is at the very onset when they determined that internet connectivity was an issue in their county, and keeping in mind it's a hell of a larger issue there than it is there. Here, we have underserviced areas. There, they've got nothing.
Nothing.
But what they did was they hired a company to basically do a low-hanging fruit assessment, if you will. And they identified very easy areas to target with first, second, and third tranches of funding. So they actually mapped out their entire county, said, here's all the different projects that we have, and ranked those projects in order of, if we spend $1 million here, we can get, 4,000 houses online, versus if we spend $1 million here, and it might bring online 300 houses. So they did that. It cost about $100,000, he said, to do that assessment. And then what they've done since is they've actually gone in and partnered with local internet service providers. And it's a 50-50 match, most of this broadband funding. They get the service provider to provide the local match. They go to the state for the other 50%. So the only thing that Greene County has spent in terms of roughly $36 million worth of broadband or future broadband deployments is $100,000 for the needs assessment. But it's a fascinating model.
Absolutely.
And I'll be diving into that a little bit more over the next couple of weeks. But I appreciate Commissioner Belding sharing all that information with me. The other thing I'll note, and this was a big team effort. We submitted the Airport Authority more accurately submitted an earmark request to Senator Casey's office for airport terminal improvements in the amount of $2 million. Loretta, I'm going to thank you on that. You sat through all those meetings. That I would not have any way, shape, or form of patience to sit through.
It's a team effort. That's why it's a team. That's okay.
And so we submitted that on Sunday. I want to say also a big thank you to Senator Casey's staff. They are of all 3 of our federal representative staffs. We hear from Senator Casey's the most, and they do a phenomenal job making sure that we're apprised of all the different federal opportunities out there. Last thing I'll mention, and this is just an area that I think that we need to take a look at. I was at SPC yesterday, and there was PennDOT multimodal funding that the state just came through and awarded a large number of dollars to projects all across Southwest Pennsylvania region. And I was surprised to see that there were no projects at all for Lawrence County on the list. I don't think that that's a fault of our systems, but at the same time, you look at our planning department, there's 4 people there, they're doing the work of 8 people. Our staff is pretty much at full capacity. But something to consider with American Rescue Plan funding is potentially, at least for a couple of years, while you have all of this federal infrastructure, all of this federal relief funding coming down, might make sense through the redevelopment authority to onboard either a contracted position or a staff position through redevelopment to go after all these different funding streams, because there are so damn many of them coming out, and we don't want to leave any money on the table. And on top of that, depending on grants that we're able to be awarded or go out and successfully chase, you can use the admin percentages to defray the costs of any position if they're successful in going after those federal funding streams. So just something to just add to the conversations. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan.
Thank you. Coincidentally, and I don't know if you've had time to review it, we each get every other week, I think, NACO, the National Association of County Officials, sends us a newspaper type newsletter. And they had an insert. I just gave it to Amy just before this meeting of the various federal grant programs that are available right now. And she said she would look it over. So if you haven't had time to look in your
Okay,
paper yet, it's in the middle of it.
Okay.
And then on the broadband issue, I just got a call from a gentleman from DQE Communications and asked him, I gave him each of our email addresses and asked him to forward whatever information he might have. He indicated they've worked with a number of other, I don't know if Mr. Belding mentioned DQE or not, but
What was the gentleman's name?
his first name's Michael and I can't remember his last name.
I think he may have called me as well. I just haven't had the opportunity to get back to him. Because we're not quite there in terms of implementation.
Well, he's gonna be emailing us some information, so I'm gonna let you know that.
Absolutely, thank you.
Finally, Commissioner Boyd referenced former Sheriff Robert Clark, who passed away earlier this week. And, he served from, I believe, 2000. Oh boy, I'm getting my dates mixed up. No, 1990, excuse me, 1990 to 2006. And if my math is correct, that's 16 years. That would be 4 terms as sheriff. He replaced George Sigler, and then I believe Perry Quilero replaced Robert Clark when Mr. Clark retired. Does that sound right? And I got the opportunity to work with Sheriff Clark for the first couple of years of my first term. The one memory I have of him, and I never got a chance to ask him this, but when I lived out on Cunningham Lane in Neshannock Township, I was out in my yard one day, and he came down the hill. It's a dead end road, but he came down the hill on horseback. And he had his cowboy hat on, and we chatted. He wore a cowboy hat quite often. And I never got a chance to ask him, because he lived in Hickory Township, so he was on the other side of the Neshannock Creek. So I don't know to this day if he brought his horse over and crossed the Neshannock Creek. Maybe it was low enough that he was able to do so, or if perhaps he had gone around and crossed one of the bridges. I feel bad, I've never clarified that with him, but I can still picture him up on that horse. And he always referred to his farm out on Hartzell Road as his ranch. It was Sheriff Clark's ranch, not his farm. He called it a ranch, but we'll certainly miss him. And as Mr. Boyd said, we offer our sympathy to his family. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Loretta, you're on deck.
I will just reiterate a couple of different things. That, one thing that I'm learning, and I think we all realize that with government, there's so many things that happen underneath the surface that you're not aware of before something like with the airport, with that, the numerous meetings. And it's lots of times that those things do happen, and sometimes things don't come to fruition. So when Morgan talks about the meetings and things, yes, that you sit through and you disseminate all of the different plans and programs and stuff that were, we'd even submitted maybe to SPC or PennDOT and priorities. And through the course of those meetings, it just ended up being that the airport project fit the bill for that earmark that we are submitting for. And again, all of the meetings and the indications that we're very hopeful for it. I took a look at what was submitted, and the area of expertise right there was a nice handoff. Hey, this is what it is. And I knew that we had talked and even some of our monies to contribute a little bit to it. And that's what they like to see at those different levels with the policy meetings and things. And then everybody does their chips in, and we as commissioners, and the three of us, we all met and discussed and talked about what to submit and what would have the most viability to move forward with it. So we're very hopeful. I'm very hopeful, being excited about it. I said to Morgan when we were talking that the airport was not something that I ever took any interest in Lawrence County. Just I knew that it was there. I would see the planes flying over. I had a couple of friends that certainly, were pilots, flew small planes, but never realized the economic impact that they could have. And I just really, I'm hopeful, and whatever we need to do. And I know Robbie Matisik from the senator's office has just been phenomenal We've met with, different officials, the Economic Development Corporation, planning, everybody just trying to get the best possible product. So I want to thank everybody for sitting through those meetings and then picking up the ball and Jim Ferris with Airport Authority doing that. And again, segue into all of the monies that are available with that infrastructure, with broadband. I mean, I remember in my computer just clicking off or trashing anything dealing with broadband because I'm thinking, no, we're good. And then we get the report and we're not really as good as we thought we were. And now I find myself in different areas of the county that we don't have service. So I'm like, well, okay, so that's something now that we need to get into. But again, I'm glad to be in this position to be here right now. And Dan, I'm sure that I said it before in the many, many years that you've been here, that there's never been such an influx of money to have the opportunity to do so many different things. And even our meeting yesterday at LCAP with touring that facility, the Frumill facility with the plans and ideas and things, it is truly exciting. And hopefully things that we have going on and we're looking into come to fruition and people working together from different agencies in different areas. I'm just very, very grateful and humbled to be part of such a happening. So thank you. And who do we have? Oh my gosh, I wondered who you were looking at over there. It's Cam.
Hi, Jeff.
How are you, Jeff?
Good. How's everybody?
Good to see you. How's life?
Good. Real good. Thank you.
Okay, good. Those of you that can't see Jeff, it's Jeff Parrish,
Yeah, no, I'm not getting in front of the camera.
our retired public safety director. Good to see
I'm just a
you.
citizen now. So.
Okay.
Is your cell phone number the same?
Yes, sir. I have that still the same for my work. So still call me on a weekend or after hours.
No.
We've told Chad to get
I
We
don't
can't
have to
find
now.
you in
So
Utah anymore.
it can ring all
No.
once at night. I don't care. But yeah, I still have that one as well. Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
Yep.
Glad to see
Sorry to
you.
interrupt the meeting.
No,
No, always, that's a good thing. I
Take
wondered
care.
who Morgan was watching, I saw.
Yeah, I thought it was Jeff, but I wasn't.
Same here.
Very good,
Good to see
okay,
you.
very good, but that's a good ending to my little spiel there, thank you. Okay, excellent.
Spiel.
Spiel.
All right, we'll move on to the new resolution section here. First online, we've got CYS resolution discussion possible approval entering an agreement with Northwest Media Inc. for foster parent college online training course vessel. What's the resolution number? 86. All right, guys, how you doing?
Thank you.
Doing great.
Yeah, the excitement started before the meeting when we were having our conversation.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
what do we have going on here today?
All right, well, I'm gonna start off by saying, it's a resolution to renew the contract we had last year in Northwest Media. It's a parent company of fosterparentcollege.com. And the rate's $3,000 a year. And what it is foster and kinship parents are required to have 6 credit hours per year of training to be certified. Last year, we had 111 foster parents and kinship parents attend. And the county shares 20%, which is $600. So I'm gonna turn it over to Bill, he's the supervisor for kinship and foster.
So I researched this program when we were looking for a new training program for our foster and kinship families. And they let me do a trial run of taking some trainings myself so that I could see if it would be beneficial, and it really was. I really loved this program. So in the past year, we trained 111 individuals. So most of our foster and kinship parents are couples, so I just based them off each individual number with certified hours of 312. In each of the training credits, they're either 4 hours, 3 hours, 2, or 1. So they can decide. They have to do 6, and they can't do more than 6. And some have done the minimum of what the state requires. When I did the costs, it would basically cost the county $27 per person for 6 credit hours. Each individual credit hour is like $450 per person. We asked for feedback from the foster and kinship families, and they all came back to me saying, we love this program. It's helpful to us, especially while we're still in pandemic. to be able to have the flexibility to do online training compared to being in person. And there, you see some of the topics that are on the paper that I've
Right.
given you all, the ones that we require them to take about child welfare, understanding behaviors in foster children, trauma-informed parenting, working with the parents, and then some of the annual topics that they've selected once they've gone through the required topics. These are just some. The majority of them have selected about how to deal with anger, how to deal with child safety and supervision, sleep problems, just the normal stuff that come up. So we have found that in the past year that it's been a successful program, and we're hopeful to continue it moving forward.
Absolutely.
I
Excellent.
think I better sign up for non-compliance and defiance.
I was gonna sign up for supporting normalcy.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
You skipped over that. I was gonna ask,
That's a good
were you
one.
afraid that we were all going to sign up for it?
Just contact Bill, he'll let you know how to.
That's right. And we know that some of our kinship families are a little bit older and grandparents. So me and my team have been out there helping them navigate the online system, because they'll call it, we don't know how to get on here, we don't know how to do this. So me and my team, we go out and we provide customer service on the training too.
Digital literacy.
That's it, absolutely. Excellent.
Questions, comments on the proposed resolution?
No, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you both.
Thank you, gentlemen.
A motion for 86.
So moved.
Second,
A motion second, any further discussion, hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. Up next, we have 87, through our planning department. Resolution discussion possible approval of an agreement with Youngblood Paving for the Elwood City Borough 8th Street Way Street Improvement Project. Becky, how you doing today?
Oh, good. How are you guys?
Doing good, thanks. What do we have going on?
We have a CDBG project, street improvement in Elwood City, using our 2020 CDBG funds for this. We opened our bids last week and everybody reviewed it, and we're good to go with Youngblood starting, soon. As soon as they get their bonds and their certificates and everything in line. So, with your blessing, that's what we're gonna do.
We're paving already.
We're paving
Paving
it.
away.
We're 2 streets.
We're paving 2 roads.
We're paving 2 roads.
There we go. I don't know, this is like usually doing at CDBG. That number one, this is directly through, this is through Elwood City. Elwood City is determining the project under federal law and federal regulation and state law and state regulation. We manage the CDBG programs for Elwood, Union, and Shenango. So this has already been decided by Elwood City Borough officials. We're just the administrative entity, and we do get paid for being the administrative entity through that CDBG allocation.
So,
Yeah, all right, questions, comments?
Yeah.
I'll take a motion to approve 87.
So moved.
Second,
Motion second, any further discussion, hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, resolution for discussion possible approval to enter into a quote with Green Acres Contracting for railing work at Quaker Falls. What do we have here?
this is part of the safety measures that have come to light since we've had it open to the public. This part of it is around the 4 corners of the bridge, the pedestrian bridge. It is, as you can see, it's different kind of steel, I guess, I don't know. That has to, we want to match, kind of the bridge that's our bridge work that's there. So, Bill was kind enough to reach out to his contacts, the county engineer. So he's come up with this and we would like to get started. I know that we received Joe PCOMP grant money that's going to cover this. So it's no out of pocket money. So this is first step of 2 that we're going to be doing.
Since it's bridge work, did Bill Humphrey consult with his dentist?
Yeah, I think he has pictures.
Good.
But yeah, so
Sorry, Loretta.
pedestrian bridge.
Yes, I got it.
ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's that kind of day.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
Other thing I'll say here is the funding stream has been identified, it's available, and it doesn't cost the county anything, so I am in support of bridge work. Any other questions, Phil?
No feelings.
No, Phil.
Have we drilled her enough?
All right, on that note.
Where's Debbie when you need her?
Oh, I better not be on the paper.
Yeah, she stepped out.
Well, she'll listen, you know. Anyway,
Yes, all right.
88, I need the motion.
So moved.
Second. A motion is second, any further discussion, hearing none. Question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
thank you
Becky.
very much.
Okay.
Bye.
Walk a little faster toward that.
Oh, guys.
All right, up next, we have 89. This is, and transitioning the phones, DJ Nicholson's office was on an old line. We transitioned the phones, that line no longer exists.
Good.
And so we're getting a line, it's for her security as well as her secure fax.
Just to add to that, we got notice yesterday that Windstream is discontinuing this general area, so
Oh,
we'll be switching over all the
Okay.
systems shortly. They're just not,
that should help you guys too.
they're not gonna provide the service anymore,
We were probably the only reason why we were still here.
probably.
All right, I'll take a motion, any questions or comments, I'll take a motion for 89.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconds, or any further discussion, hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Couple minor administrative transfers here. We've got assessor to, from their contingency to association dues for $25. A little rate increase over the year. So they're covering that out of their contingency fund. And then public defender, after our incident at the public defender's office, we heightened security over there. Insofar as they now have a door that doesn't just open. And so they're transferring some money from their contingency to their materials and supplies to cover their new security measures. Questions, comments, either of those? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve administrative transfers 1 and 2.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor? It's public defender right there. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. No ordinances. Next regular commissioners meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m. on Tuesday, May 3rd, in the commissioners meeting room. There will be a planning commission meeting on Wednesday, May 11th, at 12 o'clock noon at the Taylor Township Municipal Building. Am I missing anything? Okay. Numbers.
That's it.
Any of this, Dan, you have anything else for today?
No, sir, I don't.
Loretta?
Mm-mm.
Joe? Vanessa? Anything else from the public? Not you guys are public, but we love you very much.
Yes.
All right, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Very good.
Pretty packet for her, but I think she had to move along.
She was all excited. She got, I forgot. to put
It's
on
all
the agenda. She was all excited.